We hear about global climate shifts all the time, right? But what does that actually mean for you, for your backyard, for the places we all call home? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into the official state climate reports to uncover the very real, very local impacts of America's new weather reality. So let's just jump right in with the big question. Is our weather really getting more extreme? The data from all across the country doesn't point to one simple answer. Instead, it reveals something way more fascinating and, frankly, a lot more complex. So what we're seeing is this new pattern emerging. Yeah, the causes might be global, but the effects, they are super local, they're really varied, and they are happening right now, as we speak. This isn't just one single story, it's more like a patchwork of regional crises that are creating a whole new national picture. Okay, let's kick things off out in the American West, where a powerful story of heat, drought, and fire is fundamentally reshaping the landscape. Some are even calling it the new age of fire.
It all comes down to water, or really the lack of it. See, rising temperatures are making natural droughts even worse by cranking up evaporation, and that is putting an insane amount of strain on absolutely critical water sources like the Colorado River system. And look at this chart. This right here shows you the crisis at Lake Mead, which is an absolute lifeline for cities and farms in Arizona, Nevada, and California. That steady downward line since the late 90s has led to historic, record-breaking lows. This isn't some future prediction. This is the reality of a mega drought you can literally see on the canyon walls. And if you want a number that just stops you in your tracks, get this. The Sierra Nevada snowpack, it's basically a giant frozen reservoir for California. Well, in 2015, it was at just 5% of its historical average. 5. That's a catastrophic failure of a system that millions and millions of people depend on. And you know what all this dryness leads to, right? A terrifying consequence. It transforms millions of acres of beautiful forests and grasslands into a tinderbox, just waiting for a spark. It's setting the stage for a new generation of wildfires that are bigger, that move faster, and are just way more destructive than anything we've seen before. I mean, just take a look at Colorado's 2020 season. This wasn't just a bad year, it was completely off the charts. In a single season, the state saw its 3 largest wildfires in recorded history, and they were all burning at the same time. But hold on, because this story of extremes has a wild twist. It's not just about things being too dry. While the West is literally on fire, a huge part of the country is dealing with the exact opposite problem: catastrophic flooding. The nation is swinging violently from drought to deluge. You want to see what this weather whiplash looks like? Look no further than Nebraska. In 2012, it was the driest year they'd ever recorded. Fast forward just 7 years, in 2019 was the state's 3rd wettest year, capped off by a bomb cyclone that caused billions of dollars in flood damage. It's an incredible swing. And trust me, this is not just a one-off thing. Just look at the Mississippi River at St. Louis. The Great Flood of 1993 was supposed to be a once-in-a-century event. But then major flooding happened again in 2011, and then again in 2019. These historic floods are now a recurring crisis for communities all along America's great rivers. Now let's head down south, where the problem isn't just rain, but the sheer intensity of it. You see, warmer air can hold more moisture. So when these big storm systems slow down or just stall out, they can dump absolutely staggering amounts of water all in one place. So how much water are we really talking about here? Well, in August 2016, a storm with no name just sat over Louisiana and dumped, get this, over 30 inches of rain. That's more than 2.5 feet of water from the sky, causing a flood that damaged more than 50,000 homes. All right, so we've covered fire, we've covered floods, but there's a third piece to this puzzle, a pattern of more violent and destructive storms. This is when the skies themselves just seem to rage. Think about the tornado outbreak back in December of 2021. A single, one EF4 tornado just ripped a path of destruction for nearly 166 miles across Kentucky. The sheer power and the longevity of a storm like that is a chilling sign of what modern severe weather looks like. And out on the coasts, it's a very similar story, but with hurricanes. The science is pretty simple, actually. Warmer ocean water is like high-octane fuel for these storms. It lets them get stronger, faster, and hold way more moisture, which makes them not just more powerful, but also a whole lot wetter.
And if you want the perfect tragic example, just look at Hurricane Harvey in 2017. The wind was bad, yeah, but the catastrophe, that was the rain. It stalled over Texas and dropped over 50 inches in some spots. That's more than 4 feet of water from one storm. It was one of the most extreme rainfall events in U.S. history, and it completely swamped one of our biggest cities. And the threats are getting more diverse, too. We're even seeing other kinds of extreme wind events, like something called a derecho. Ever heard of that? It's basically a massive, long-lasting line of thunderstorms that brings hurricane-force winds in a straight line. A really rare one in the West back in 2020 traveled over 750 miles. Incredible. So, let's step back for a second. We've got fire, floods, and these absolutely furious storms. What's becoming clear is that these aren't just random, unlucky events. They are all connected pieces of a new, emerging national pattern. This is America's new weather reality. It's like every region has its own signature hazard now, but the theme is the same everywhere. Extremes are the new normal. Out west, it's fire and drought, defined by that shocking 5% snowpack number. In the Midwest, it's those recurring historic floods. Down south, it's supercharged hurricanes and tornadoes, while even the Northeast is seeing this huge surge in extreme rain. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This comes straight from the source material. This quote from California's official climate summary really gets to the heart of it all. It says, drought conditions can be exacerbated by warm temperatures. Now that word, exacerbated, that's the key. Warming is acting like an amplifier, turning what would have been a bad situation into a truly catastrophic one. So, all this leaves us with one massive question, doesn't it? The data is crystal clear and the patterns are undeniable. We are living in a nation of extremes. As these different regional crises get more intense and start to overlap, the challenge for every single one of us is staring us in the face. How are we going to adapt to our new weather reality?